What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Malik Washington back at it again with another episode of the BMB. Gonna dive right on into the topic. Today's topic is going to be concerning Kanye and his tweet concerning the Jewish people. Also, his comment he made about blacks being Jews, as well as talking about the guy Noriega who owns the podcast, Drinking Champs, right? And why he canceled the episode with his interview regarding him and Kanye. So let's go on ahead and get started. So, as some of you know, a trendy situation came up with Kanye West where he made a very controversial tweet about Jewish people. He made the statement that he was going to go to sleep and that but when he wakes up, he's going to go DEFCON 3 on Jewish people, right? But that also he could not be anti-Semitic because he said black people are Jews also. So let's address the first top portion of that tweet, right? So he said he was going to go DEFCON 3. As far as I know about DEFCON 3, I don't know too much about it. But from what I looked up about it, it's something that they use in the military about forcible readiness. And I guess that has something to do with them going mobile or when they are about to engage a mission. They have different levels. And I think there's like maybe 5 levels to it. Anyone that has any information on that, they can put it in the comments below or talk about it a little bit just to give everybody kind of a sense of what DEFCON in general is, the DEFCON code. Nonetheless, he said he was going to basically be ready to discuss the Jewish people, right? And how they relate to him. Now, mind you, he works in the hip hop industry. Kanye is a rapper. He works in the hip hop industry. And I imagine probably a lot of his sponsors, the people he works for or he deals with, they probably are Jewish as well. As seeing that Jewish people are very prominent, are very prevalent in these particular industries, the hip hop, the media industry, all these different places, right? And so from what I understand is that he had some issues with this one Jewish person that did something to him that he did not appreciate. And as a result, he looks at the Jews in an entirely different light. Now, he went on Def Champs. I keep saying Def Champs, not Def Champs. He went on Drinking Champs, right? With a guy by the name of Noriega. And to explain himself, to talk about the White Lives Matter situation, to talk about DEFCON 3, the DEFCON 3 tweet, because he got a lot of pushback from that, from the Jewish people, from what he said. And basically Twitter locked his account because he said something in regards to Jews that just was not right. It's amazing how one group of people, when you say something about them, they can immediately just make everybody stop what they're doing and just totally just like disrupt everything about what you have going on because you have an opinion of an opinion about them, right? Now, I don't think that Kanye's, in my opinion, I don't think that Kanye's tweet was anti-Semitic in nature, but I think he was trying to have a discussion about something that he had I guess you could say, an opprobrious take on it. And so that's why they took him down, because he said something that they didn't particularly like about what he said about the Jewish community. But DEFCON 3 sounds like you're going to do something like action wise, like I guess like hurt them in a sense of the word. Not like Kanye has the capacity to do that anyway, as far as that's concerned. But he went on the podcast Drinking Champs with a guy by the name of Noriega. Noriega had a conversation with him, and from what I saw, it looked like Noriega and him were the conversation was running smoothly. It was positive. However, Noriega ended up getting into a situation where he had to take down the episode with him and Kanye because of the backlash that he got from the Jewish people as well as others who are in support of the Jews, right? And Noriega said something after the fact. He responded and he said that he did not agree with what Kanye said. And he said after the podcast, he went to Kanye and he pushed back. He pushed back on him in regards to the Jewish people. He spoke up for them, and he did not allow Kanye to get away with that. The funny thing is, this dude is a straight up hypocrite, and he's kind of a coward for that. Because first off, Kanye has the right to say whatever it is that he wants to say. Now, I'm not a big Kanye fan myself. You know, I listen to his music, and he's very good at what he does. You know what I'm saying? I have some of his songs on my playlist that I listen to. Nonetheless, Kanye West has the right to speak his mind. He said something the Jewish people didn't like, and thus they pushed back on him. And because reprisal reflected back on the Drinking Champs podcast, Noriega all of a sudden gets all flustered, and now he's saying that he pushed back on Kanye. He got on him after the show was over. Like, dude, if you pushed back on him like you said you did, then why on your own podcast did you agree with everything that Kanye said to you? You know, that's not right. So in one breath, you listen to the man, you listen to him talk, you let him talk the entire time, and you shook your head in agreement to everything that he said. All of a sudden, when you get pushed back from the Jewish people, now you want to go behind the scenes. Oh man, I ain't like what you said. That wasn't right. Bro, that's cowardice. That is pure cowardice. If you disagree with him, you could have disagreed with him while he was right there. You both were drinking. You both were enjoying yourselves. You were having a good time. Now, all of a sudden, he said something and you're getting retort from the Jews. And now you want to push back. But see, that's the funny thing, though, when you talk about Jewish people. Here's my thing. It's funny with them. They are very powerful. And to be few in number, they're very strong as far as infrastructure is concerned. What I will say about when it comes to them, they're not perfect. They're not immaculate. Jewish people and black people's relationships is complicated in that they did have a lot to do with our racist historical past. And some of their people did endorse the slave trade. Some of their people did incentivize the slave trade, in fact. So they endorse slavery overall, right? And mind you, disclaimer, I'm not talking about every Jewish person, okay? This is just for the ones that we know that are documented in history who have been known to participate in it, especially the ones that were participating in the slave trade in Brazil. That's where they mainly came from. Few of them practiced it over here in America when they couldn't practice it over there, back over there. When they migrated here, they brought that same practicing to America. So it's no different, right? However, this situation is no different than what we've seen with Nick Cannon, also with what we've seen with Whoopi Goldberg. That when you make comments that are not verified, that are not entirely true, or if you're not being entirely honest, or you're being extremely biased and you're not looking at it from a nuanced perspective, these people are going to come after you, and they're going to have something to say when you talk about them and their ethnic group. My whole thing is with Kanye, to address that portion, if you have a problem with these people and you work with them, then why not get away from them? You see what I'm saying? But he's attached to that industry. I can agree with him, as well as many others like him, that when they talk about what's happening with them and their interactions with the Jews, they're having nothing but bad experiences. But if I know I'm having bad experiences with these types of individuals, and I know the powers that they can emanate, and it can possibly make or break me, why not get away from it if I morally feel compelled to say that these people do things that the public does not know, right? So you want to go DEFCON 3, but you're not competent enough to say, well, if these people are agitating me, I think I need to get away from this source of the agitation so that I don't have to deal with that ever again. I don't think that Kanye was being anti-Semitic. More so, he was trying to express agitation or anger for what he had been dealing with these particular Jewish people he had been working for. But everyone, of course, takes things differently. People interpret things differently. And so the mainstream Jewish community responded, which is natural that they're going to respond because you're talking about them. But now to lock his account and to take down the episode because he spoke his mind, I don't think that should have been something that they should have did. Perhaps they could have told him, like, you need to be careful. You need to be careful with some of the things you say, because unless it's verified and you're telling nothing but the truth, fine, give him a warning. But don't take the man down because he said something that a small group of people don't like. We treat Jewish people like we treat endangered species. Oh, you can't do anything to them because they're very few in number. So now we got to give them all these different benefits. We got to treat them like charity cases, like as if Jewish people can't speak for themselves, right? And like I said, I have no qualms with the Jewish community, right? But I do think that they are a type of group that no one wants to criticize, because some people feel like they're God's chosen people. But the second thing is because these people own things that clearly they can manipulate anything within media if they so choose. My whole thing is for people that have issues with Jewish people, that if you are working with them, keep your opinions to yourself, because, well, they're paying you. It's their platform. It's their infrastructure. And if you have that problem, you need to go somewhere else. Which is why I like what Kanye is doing now, where he's buying Parler, in which I think Candace Owens' husband, the CEO of Parler, actually owns. But he's going to buy Parler because he's tired of them censoring him from being able to say the things that he wants to say. Now, although Kanye is incoherent in some of the things that he's saying, like he jumps all over the place with his ideas, he has a right to express himself. It's freedom of speech. You should have the ability to say what it is that you want to say, irregardless of the consequences that comes along with it. But as being the person that has the ability to speak your mind, you also have to understand that there's consequences to things that will that you say. People will come back at you. There will be reprisal. There will be retort. Some people are going to give you vitriol, whereas others are going to challenge and try to understand where you're coming from. So you have to keep those things in mind. Being a truth seeker, being someone that speaks your mind, being someone that wants to influence people to be able to just go out there and be your genuine self when you're speaking to people. But never subject yourself to constantly deal with nonsense if you feel like it's not benefiting you or they're hurting you in some way, shape, or form, which is what I don't understand about Kanye West. He has so much to say about certain groups of people that he works for, but he's not getting away from them. That's the big issue, right? Especially when people talk about getting canceled, people talk about, their voices are not being heard. You have to then create your own solution, right? And which that's what he's doing by buying Parler, because Parler is a freedom of speech platform. So with that being said, get away from it. Go and make your own podcast or do your own thing. So this way you and others like you who like to speak their mind can have the ability to say what you want to say, and it's not going to get censored, attacked, or prevented from you being muffled from being able to speak what it is you want to say. Now, the second half of this is the comment that he made about black people being Jews also. My favorite topic, actually, because I was a part of a group known as the Hebrew Israelites. And this was a big thing about us, is that we believe that, people of color, specifically black people in America, as well as throughout the diaspora, are the 12 tribes according to the scriptures, right? Now, I don't know if Kanye was basing it off of that premise, or if he was basing it off the fact that there are black people who practice Judaism, therefore making them Jewish as well, right? Because there is that factor. Now, from my premise, I do believe that black people are Jews, for the simple fact that they did find within DNA testing certain groups like the Yoruba, the Falacia, the Gadambe, the Igbo, especially the Igbo, that these people and people in I think Ethiopia, that these people could possibly be traced back to the Davidic line of King David, right? Many of those tribes claim that they are of the Davidic line, right? And the thing is, the mainstream the Orthodox Jewish community doesn't quite accept that, for the simple fact that they believe that anybody can be Jewish, right? So long as you believe in, Yah and his ways, if you believe in the Torah, and if you believe in Talmudic tradition and things of that nature, basically, if you believe in Judaism overall, you can be a Jew. However, that's in relation to conversion methods, being proselytized into the faith. If you're talking about bloodline Israel, well, that's a discussion that's going to have to be had on another playing field, for the simple fact that there was a point in time when Israel had been occupied by the Roman Empire. They were eventually driven out of Jerusalem. So at some point, this is what the Bible had called the abomination of desolation that happened way back when, right? It was predicted that Israel was going to be driven out of their lands. The enemy was going to come and drive them out, and they were going to be scattered. This was going to cause them to all go into different places to escape persecution of the Romans, and for the most part, not be able to practice their culture like they did traditionally back when they had their land. When those Israelites ended up leaving, another group of people came in and eventually made them practice the ways of the Jewish people, right? The ways of the Israelites. And these are the people that you see today that live over there in Israel. And then they eventually became a sovereign state back in the 1940s or 50s, somewhere around that, eventually making them a sovereign nation, a young yet sovereign nation. Since that time, America and every other culture in the world accepted the fact that these people are God's chosen people. Henceforth, why a lot of people get angry when you talk about Israel or you talk about their people. Now, again, like I said before, I believe that black people are Israelites. There's no doubt in my mind about that they go back to David. It's possible. The Igbo tribe has been practicing Judaic ways since even before we were even taken into slavery from Africa to Europe and Brazil and the United States and North America, you name it. Even here, like even certain Native American tribes, they are like the Cherokee. They've practiced Hebraic roots. So it's not entirely false to say that black people are Jews from that premise, because we do see it historically in different areas where there's Hebraic inscriptions. There's people practicing what the Jews used to do. The Yoruba still practice animal sacrifice, oblation. They still have an oblation system. So it does not surprise me that there's the possibility that black people could be Jews according to Kanye's premise. But I think he might have been making the simple premise that, well, there are black people that practice Judaism. So you can't entirely say that I'm anti-Semitic when black people can be Jews too. But he could also be making the argument from the premise of, some people out here that believe black people are some of God's chosen people, according to scripture, right? If you believe in the Bible and all that jazz. So with that being said, maybe they even got offended because of that comment as well. I'm not entirely sure. But my overall point is this, ladies and gentlemen. Get away from people who you obviously have a problem with. If if you're working with Jewish people and they're not being fair to you, then maybe you need to go to somewhere where your power can be set in place, resonate with your message, and you can get out the influence without them tackling your influence or limiting it. Otherwise, you'll be like Nick Cannon. You'll be going around doing an apology tour, and then you have to take classes about Judaism and the Jewish people. You'll be like Whoopi Goldberg, which Whoopi Goldberg, I think she deserved it because that her comment was entirely just like racist in nature. But in essence, get away from them, make your own, and then you can speak your mind. Now, I wouldn't be going around making up lies about people, of course, even if I did have the power to speak my mind. I want to be as objective as possible. And then some instances I'm going to be subjective, depending on what the conversation is. But I always want to make sure that I'm speaking the right things because I don't want to mislead or misdirect anyone in regards to them. Once again, this is not a video to attack Jewish people. This isn't a video to lie on them about their history or anything they've been through. All I'm simply saying is with Kanye West's situation, he just simply needs to go into something where he can speak his mind, because I don't think he deserved to be canceled. I don't think that he's crazy. I think that he's going through something medically, and that it's causing him to be sometimes impaired in the way that he speaks. But outside of that, he has an opinion just like anyone else. He doesn't deserve to get canceled because of it. And a lot of people in today's age want to cancel people because of how they think. Yet we don't even attack directly some of the negative or even evil things that people do these days, but we want to cancel people that have opinions about the evil about evil people. It's kind of crazy to me, but our judgment is very skewed these days. But hopefully it gets better in due time. But I'll leave it right there. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Malik Washington. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a good day or good night wherever you reside. And I thank you for listening if you got this far. I do intend to do another video today, so stay in tune for that. Also, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy it. It will help me to get more views and to reach out to more people if you definitely do that. But if you don't, that's also great as well. I just thank you for listening. All right, people. Peace.